Yeah, no, thanks for bringing that up. He did fumble that damn ball.
I'm gonna be completely honest here. I'm tired of being disrespected. So there was no question I was gonna play this year.
We are now the Las Vegas Raiders.
Welcome back to another episode of Vegas Nation Blitz. Cassie Soto here alongside Raiders beat writer for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Vinny Bonsignor. Vinny, the Raiders are coming off of their bye week, and it looks like we have an update on the team's COVID-19 reserve list. What can you tell us there?
Yeah, unfortunately, Damon Arnett, who's already on IR with the fractured wrist, he tested positive on Monday for COVID-19. All the best wishes to Damon for a speedy recovery. He goes on to the reserve list, the reserve COVID list. It's not going to affect anything because he was going to miss Sunday's game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers regardless being on IR. That said, Maurice Hurst, who went on the COVID list the week prior, and missed the Kansas City Chiefs game, was back at practice when the Raiders returned on Monday for a light workout. So he looks like he's good to go to play on Sunday, and that's a big thing. Maurice Hurst has actually been playing really well in the interior of the Raiders defense. So they get back Maurice Hurst, still waiting on Damon Arnett, still waiting on Brian Edwards, still waiting on Richie Incognito. I don't think either of those guys will play this week. The sense seems that they're going to be another week at least for both of those injuries. But slowly but surely, the Raiders are getting healthier toward the second half of the season.
Oh, Vinny, you recently wrote an article over at reviewjournal.com grading the Raiders up until this point. Can you give the viewers at home just some insight into some of those grades?
Well, not surprisingly, the offense graded out really, really well. And when you dig into the numbers, this offense is playing really good football, and specifically Derek Carr, who's playing as well as he ever has in his career. He's third in the league, or second in the league by percentage points in completion percentage, trailing just Teddy Bridgewater of the Carolina Panthers. He's, depending on which metric you use, he's anywhere between third and fifth in quarterback gradings by the various metrics. He's got 11 touchdowns to just one interception. The one interception is tied for the least in the NFL with Patrick Mahomes. After Aaron Rodgers threw the two interceptions last week, he had 0 going into last week, but that changed. The offense is scoring 30 points a game, 6th best in the NFL. The 399 yards they're averaging each game is 6th in the NFL. So no question, the offense is playing well and grading out well as a result. On the other hand, the defense still has a lot of work to do. The numbers look pretty bleak in the secondary at linebacker. Their improvements need to happen along the defensive line. But I think, they showed, the Raiders did in the win against the Chiefs by holding Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs to 8 points in the second half that there's improvements there to be made. And I think that's going to happen. I think the more they play together, this defense, the more comfortable they get getting injured players back. Nick Wachowski has made a huge difference at linebacker. I think Damon Arnett, when he comes back, will as well at cornerback. So the healthier they get and the more in tune they get with each other, I think this defense has a chance to improve. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be a top 10 defense by any stretch of the imagination, but if they could get into that 17, 18, 19 range along with that powerful offense, they're going to be in good shape heading down the stretch.
All right, we'll see if the defense can make it to the playoffs. Vinny, thank you so much as always.
All right, Cassie, have a great day.
In other news, former Dallas Cowboys defensive end David Irving is joining the Raiders. Irving served a 1-year suspension for violating the league's substance abuse policy. The Tennessee Titans reportedly will not face suspensions or lose draft picks as a result of the team's COVID-19 outbreak. The Los Angeles Chargers designated defensive end Melvin Ingram for return from injured reserve. And Philadelphia Eagles tight end Zach Ertz is expected to miss several weeks after suffering an ankle injury Sunday against the Ravens. Even though the Raiders were on a bye week, fans on social media did not take any time off. Here to tell us more about it is Las Vegas Review-Journal sports journalist Leandre Fox. Leandre, Raiders fans are still riding that high of their team beating the Chiefs back in week 5?
Yeah, we saw them call it the Super Bowl. They said it was the Raiders Super Bowl. I'm not sure the Raiders necessarily agree with that. I feel like John Gruden would much rather raise up the trophy at the end of the season than just celebrate beating the Chiefs in Arrowhead. But it's still a pretty big victory. So we got them reacting with Ocean Spray DC riding along, enjoying himself, basking in that victory.
Well, some Raiders fans were a little too excited after the team's big win. In fact, things got a little dangerous for a pair of fans.
Not just fans, family. Max Crosby's family. Max Crosby said his mother sent him a video, and it looks like his sister took a really nasty hit to a lighting fixture. I think she needs to go through the concussion protocol. She might have some issues there. She knocked that out, and she said she was all good to go. That is a tough family.
The Crosby family definitely has some tough members there. Well, final one for you, Dre. It looks like Christmas came early for a former Raider.
Former Raiders player Akbar Bajabia-Miller. He got his legacy bricks in the mail this week and decided to show them off on social media for all of Raider Nation to see and enjoy those bricks.
I just got this in from the Raiders. Oh, this is dope. This is the brick that they laid out in front of Allegiant Stadium. Every single player who wore the silver and black gets one. Dope.
That's pretty awesome. The Raiders are again sending bricks out to every single player that has ever suited up in the silver and black. I hear Jamarcus Russell also got one, Leandre. Thank you so much for the updates, as always.
Thank you, Cassie.
We will be right back. Stay with us. Including the playoffs, how many times has Tom Brady faced the Raiders? 4, 5, 6, or 7? Thanks so much for sticking with us here on Vegas Nation Blitz. I'm your host, Cassie Soto, alongside Las Vegas Review-Journal sports columnist Ed Graney. Ed, the Raiders are fresh off of their bye week. They've won some games that people probably didn't think that they were going to win, and now they're heading in to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Before we get into the team and all of that, I want to get your opinions here, Ed, on just a specific player that has surprised you. Maybe you didn't have high hopes for at the start of the season, but they've really impressed you so far heading into Week 7.
I'm raising my hand for someone who did not think they would beat the Chiefs, but they did, Cassie. You know what? If I look at a player I didn't think would play as well, maybe Nelson Aguilar, the wide receiver. You know, when Nelson Aguilar came in, he was kind of that veteran guy that maybe would back up Hunter Renfrow in the slot. Right now, Nelson Aguilar leads all receivers on the team with 3 touchdowns. He's third in receiving yards. I think the guy's done really well. Another guy I'd say in offense, Devontae Booker. You know, the backup to Josh Jacobs, he's averaging 7 yards a carry. I know it's only 17 carries, but he's played well enough to where John Gruden this week said that they're going to try to get Josh Jacobs a little more rest. And I think that's mostly because they have the confidence in Devontae Booker that he can get the job done.
Yeah. Well, on the flip side of that coin, Ed, who has come into the season? They came in with a bunch of hype, but hasn't lived up to it so far.
Easy choice. It's Corey Littleton, the linebacker. They gave him the huge deal from the Rams. He just hasn't played well. I've got some numbers here. Pro Football Focus, Corey Littleton right now is ranked the 75th linebacker in the league out of 81. That's not very good. He's not covered the way they thought he would. His overall grade from Pro Football Focus is a 32. On the flip side, though, I will say this. Nick Kwiatkowski, his fellow linebacker, is 9th out of 81. So I think Kwiatkowski has played probably above what we thought he would, and Corey Littleton has obviously been not as good as everyone thought he would be after that contract he got.
Well, final one for you here, Ed. Give us your preview on this weekend's matchup versus the Buccaneers. That guy, Tom Brady, was supposed to be a Las Vegas Raider or something. There was some rumors there. Were there not?
Well, a certain columnist might have written that on the front page of the Review-Journal with a big picture of Tom Brady in a Raiders uniform. That's past history. No, look, everything's going to be about Brady this week. It's not about Brady. It's the fact that Tampa Bay has the best defense arguably in the entire NFL. So as good as the Raiders' offense have been, this is a huge test by far. In my opinion, their biggest test with that Tampa Bay defense. We saw what they did to Aaron Rodgers and the Packers last week. Somehow Derek Carr and Abai and John Gruden has to do something in their minds in terms of scheme to get past that Tampa Bay defense.
All right, we'll see what happens, Ed. Thank you so much as always.
Thanks, Cassie.
Once again, that was Las Vegas Review-Journal sports columnist Ed Graney. Now, here's Vegas Nation's Heidi Fang with a special Raiders interview.
Hey everybody, it's Heidi Fang here for Vegas Nation, and I'm going to be joined right now by former wide receiver for the Raiders, G.O.A.T. Ford, who still holds a record with the team for most kickoffs returned for touchdowns. G.O.A.T. is also an alum of Clemson, so G.O.A.T., I've got to ask you, what's it like right now to see so many Clemson Tigers making up this Raiders roster?
It's been good to see it. I love seeing those guys out there making plays. It's always fun seeing, your alumni out there. Just still doing what they love to do.
Which one of these guys that are now on the team really stand out to you?
Renfro. I saw Renfro. It was one day I was in Clemson and he was doing one-on-ones, and he hadn't had a scholarship yet. And I saw him do a move and I was like, that kid can play.
I want to talk to you about your combine time, the 40-yard dash. It's kind of close to a guy that is currently on the Raiders squad, Henry Ruggs. What do you think about Henry Ruggs right now as the Raiders' top overall pick this year?
Like, he's a guy that can really stretch the field, but he's a little taller, so he can go up and get the ball at the highest point, a little taller than what I could. But he can go out there, he can make plays. I've seen him make plays when he was at Alabama. So like he and the way he just can stretch the field and cover ground so fast, but just barely even looking like he's running. Just like, it does remind me of myself, because that's what people used to say. Like, they used to be like, oh, you make running just look effortlessly. I'm like, yeah, but I just been running all my life. So, and that's literally what he does. But he's so fast that, he knows how to get in and out of his cuts, and, Gruden, they know how to use him.
That'll do it for me. I'm Heidi Fang.
Thanks so much, Heidi. If you want to hear more from G.O.A.T. Ford, be sure to tune in with us this Sunday for Vegas Nation Game Day at 9 a.m. on Cox Your View Channel 14. We'll bring you more from G.O.A.T.'s interview. We'll be right back. The answer is C, 6. Brady has won 5 of his 6 games against the Raiders. He has thrown for 1,590 yards with 8 touchdown passes and 1 interception.
Welcome back to the Vegas Nation Blitz. It's your podcast host here, Heidi Fang, and I'm joined today with our Review-Journal sports columnist, Ed Graney. We're going to break down the AFC West for you and what's been happening there. So, Ed, right now, Chargers bottom of the basement, Chiefs still at the top, everything in the middle. What have we made so far of what we saw here in Week 6?
Heidi, I don't think anything's changed, even though the Raiders won at Kansas City. I think it's open for debate on who the second best team is. Right now, I put the Raiders there. But listen, the Broncos go into a place that the Raiders didn't win in New England and win 18-12. The Chiefs bounce back from their loss to the Raiders and beat the Bills, Chargers off. I don't think we know anything differently than we already have, which is the Chiefs are the best team in the division. The Raiders right now are probably 2, but they're closer to 3 and 4 than they probably are 1, even though they beat that team.
All right, Ed, so next week we have some big matchups on tap again for this AFC West division, but which one of those are you looking forward to most?
Look, everyone's going to say Tom Brady in Las Vegas. Here he comes. Tough rule game. Gruden traded to Tampa. All the storylines. But I'll tell you what, Kansas City goes to Denver. This is a really interesting game for Denver. Denver just went into Foxborough and won 18-12. Brian McManus with the 6 field goals. Kind of a crazy game there. But they really can defend. So if they can maybe take a little of what the Raiders did and a lot of what the Chargers did against Pat Mahomes, who knows? Maybe they keep it close. Probably not, but I'll be really interested. I'm always interested in division games, and this is one where Kansas City obviously needs to go and get another one and continue their margin of difference between the other teams.
All right, great stuff, Ed. Thank you for joining us here for that AFC West recap. And now, everybody, stay tuned as we take a look back at a moment in time with the Raiders when they hired Art Shell to be their head coach for the first time. In October of 1989, Art Shell, who was an offensive tackle for the Raiders for 15 seasons, returned to the franchise as a head coach, replacing Mike Shanahan. Shell was the first black head coach in pro football's modern era. Shell, who had played in 2 Super Bowls with the Raiders and was an 8-time Pro Bowler, had also been inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in August that year, making him the 6th Raider to be honored with that distinction. In 1990, the 12-4 Raiders went to the playoffs, making it all the way to the AFC AFC Championship game where they would lose to the Bills. That season, Shell was named AFC Coach of the Year. In the 6 seasons that Shell coached in his first stint, the Raiders held a winning record 5 times and made the playoffs 3 times. But in 1994, after the Raiders posted a 9-7 record, Al Davis fired Art Shell and replaced him with offensive line coach Mike White. Davis would later admit that he had made a mistake in firing Shell. In 2006, Davis attempted to right his wrong by rehiring Shell to coach the team. Head coach Norv Turner was let go after posting a dismal 4-12 record on the 2005 season, which ended in a 6-game losing streak. Shell was unable to turn things around, and the team suffered a total of 11 straight losses before winning 2 games in October. Those wins were the only 2 the team would have that year, and Shell was fired again. The Raiders wouldn't finish a season with a winning record until 2016. And that'll do for this moment in Raiders history. We'll be back next week.
The Raiders had a bye, and so did Vegas Nation game day, but we are back this Sunday at 9 a.m. on Cox Your View, Channel 14. We'll have the Bucs versus Raiders game preview, as well as some pretty special interviews, including a video from Diane Long, the wife of former Raider Howie Long, where she sits down and talks to parents of youth football players. You won't want to miss it. We'll be right back.
Always be honest and be supportive, but try to steer your kid towards a realistic expectation. You never want to extinguish a dream. And a couple of times we've been wrong with our kids, steering them to schools to where we didn't think they'd be able to achieve a certain level, but we were wrong. So bottom line is listen to your kid. Try to really ferret through what their real dream is, and then help them navigate from there. An iconic sportscaster, Leslie Visser, years ago, I heard her speak, and something resonated with me, and it was that pressure is a privilege.
The Las Vegas Raiders are second in the AFC West, but we want some more enticing numbers than that. So here to give us those numbers is Raiders reporter for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Sam Gordon. Sam, what numbers can you give us on the Raiders so far this season?
Hey, Cassie, how you doing? Appreciate you having me on again. I think really, Cassie, for the Raiders this year, it started with their protection and what they're able to do up front on that offensive line, right? We know Derek Carr is playing at an MVP kind of level, where he's leading the league in completion percentage, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's taking care of the ball. He's been outstanding. But I think you got to credit the offensive line. And right now, the Raiders are among the elite pass blocking teams in the NFL. They're allowing pressures on only 18.4% of Derek Carr's dropbacks. That's in the top third of the league. And even beyond that, 8 sacks, which is tied for the 6th fewest in the NFL. And aside from those 8 sacks, Derek Carr's only been hit 9 times this year. This is all data according to Pro Football Reference. So what that tells me is they are keeping him clean. They are providing him time to throw, and in turn that is allowing him to be accurate. One of the most accurate passers in the league, the most accurate passer, coming off of a season in which he was one of the top 5 most accurate passers a year ago. And then it's allowing him to find receivers downfield. Again, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception, among the league leaders in quarterback rating. All the passing numbers are there. But it's really a lot of synergy there with that offensive line. And that's crucial because Tampa Bay, as we were talking about off air, Tampa Bay has a big-time defense. One might sort of suggest the best defense in the league. So they're going to need that offensive line to show up against Tampa on Sunday.
Yeah, you mentioned it there. The Raiders will next face the 4-2 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, led by, of course, Tom Brady himself. What can you tell us about that quarterback so far this season? The future Hall of Famer, how has he been looking so far?
He's been looking like Tom Brady, Cassie, and I think what speaks to that is there's nothing that's gonna blow you away in terms of yards, completion percentage, touchdowns, anything like that, right? He's not doing anything out of the ordinary, which works because ordinary for Tom Brady is arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. For my money, the greatest quarterback of all time. Right now, he's averaging 256.8 passing yards per game. He averages 261.6 for his career, so he's right on par there. His passer rating of 97.8 is right around his career rating of 97.0. And that just kind of speaks to the consistency that he's had throughout the course of his career. Right now, he's 4th in the NFL with 14 touchdown passes. He's doing it with a brand new supporting cast, a brand new coach, all these things. He's just kind of ingratiating himself in Tampa. It's only been 6 games, so you could suggest that you could think that maybe there's even better football beyond just what we've seen so far this first 6 weeks. But he is right on par with everything he's done over the course of his career. At 43, he continues to defeat Father Time. It is incredible. I will have a story about that in Sunday's Las Vegas Review-Journal, Vegas Nation section ahead of the game. Just kind of looking at what's been able to allow him to compete at a high level for so long. He's doing it again. Tampa's 4-2. That offense is clicking. According to Pro Football Focus, they are the #1 team in the NFL. They're the top-graded team and in the top 5 in both offensive defense. So they are off to a spectacular start. And number 12, of course, is a big part of that.
Tom versus time. We've got to start drinking some of that water. Whatever he's drinking, Sam, we need it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Sam, so much as always. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Cassie. Appreciate you having me.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Vegas Nation Blitz. Vegas Nation Game Day is back this Sunday on Cox Your View Channel 14 at 9 a.m. We will preview that Sunday night showdown for you. The Raiders hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers inside Allegiant Stadium. That's a 5:20 p.m. kick, but we will be live at 9 a.m. once again on Cox Your View Channel 14 this Sunday. You don't want to miss it. We'll see you then.